더 매력 있게. 공공장소 매너 함께 지켜주실 거죠? 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
Would you believe if I told you that there is a town here in Busan that does not have a single doctor? Well, this is a reality of regional medicine, as the one doctor in Cheolma has been called to fill the gap in the trainee doctor's walkout. If this is what's happening in what is supposed to be a metropolitan city, we can only imagine what the situation might be like in the more remote areas of Korea. The medical reform is picking up speed, with more schools expanding the regional students' admissions quota. And we'll have to make sure that this increase in numbers, that it actually carries over to an expansion of medical access even in the provincial regions. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Wednesday, May 22nd on befm, 부산영어방송. Good morning, wavers out there. I hope you are doing well on this Wednesday. Welcome to our program. So, as some of you may or may try to find it's not a Where's Waldo. Try to pinpoint what looks a little different on set in the studio with us this morning. I hope you're all doing well. All right, so as the Education Ministry said, the medical school admissions quota expansion is pretty much set in stone for next year, except for the 8 medical schools in the Seoul area. So let's take a look at the situation in Busan City and the ratio of admissions for regional talents. So there are 4 medical schools in Busan. Busan National, Donghwa, Inje, and Koshin universities, respectively. They will collectively add 120 new students to their quota for next year. And these 4 schools said that they will fill over 60% of their incoming class with regional students. Specifically, PNU will adjust its regional students quota to about 70%. Same with Donghwa, with Inje and Koshin keeping the ratio about the same as now, but of course adding more students as there is now a bigger total figure. The point of these reforms, especially the increased focus on regional students, is to boost regional medicine. So hopefully, in the coming years, we'll see these incoming medical students study, graduate, and practice medicine in their respective cities and provinces and really help to fill that regional medical gap, especially in essential medicine. All right, now for our text topic. We're going to go uber, meaning like ultra positive today, as we talked about with Bonnie yesterday, if you remember, the power of positive thinking, or as the current meme goes, the 장원영 way of thinking. I'm going to give you a couple scenarios, and I want you to turn them around, make them positive. Here we go. 자, 처지는 수요일이잖아요. Getting over that hump. 원형적 사고, 긍정적 사고 연습을 한번 해볼까 하는데요. 제가 여러분에게 안 좋은 상황들을 얘기를 하면 이 상황을 어떻게든 긍정적인 마인드로 생각해서 돌려봐 주시면 됩니다. So I'm just going to give you two for now. So I'll give you a couple along the way. So, all right. Number 1, a family member snaps at you first thing in the morning. 아침부터 가족인 사람, 배우자가 짜증낸다. How would you turn that around? Or, I don't know, Is there a positive? Is there a silver lining? Number 2, you finished a report, whether it's for school or work, but you forgot to click on save. 자, 다 쓴 보고서, 레포트를 잘못 저장했어요. 저장을 누르지 않았어요. Yes. So, how would I deal with this? How would I 장원영이ze this negative? Okay, so how about this? I'll go with the first one. Let's say if my significant other snapped at me first thing in the morning, how would I turn it about? The best answer I can come up with at 7:05 this morning is, oh, you single people are going to hate me. At least I have a spouse who's healthy and alive and can snap at me. But let's be honest. Dare he snap at me? He will get a bigger snapping back. But anyways, that's not the point of this today. The point is to make something negative, turn it around, and make it positive. So that's just one example. You can send in your messages to BFM's live stream, live chat on YouTube, pound 9050. It's going to cost you 100 won. Also, you can reach me through the Kakao Talk channel. Add us as a friend too. You can listen to our program in many ways, including, the radio dial in your car. You also can tune into us, like I said, through the YouTube live streaming that we do every morning. You can watch again on that platform. We also have the Popbang app. Looking ahead to our morning together, what do we have? We have Leon with #FactCheck. We have Jennifer with Skills 101. For our special interview today, we are going to have in studio a person. Dr. Martin Henkelmann. He's the president and CEO of the Korean-German Chamber of Commerce and Industry, who is here in Busan to give a special lecture. But the reason why he's going to come into our studio today for Morning Wave in Busan is to discuss the South Korean-German business relationships at hand. Because if you remember, last year we did mark the 140th anniversary of the Korea-Germany diplomatic relations. So stay tuned for all of that, and I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:07. These are today's headlines. Parties prepare for revote on marine death, reports special counsel veto. President Yoon Suk-yeol vetoed the bill calling for a special counsel investigation into the military's handling of Marine Corporal Che's death, his 10th veto in office. Army recruit killed in grenade explosion. One recruit was killed and another non-commissioned officer was wounded yesterday after a grenade accidentally exploded during a training session at the Army's 32nd Infantry Division in Sejong. Only 5% of trainee doctors return to hospitals amid prolonged walkout. Most junior doctors have called on the government to accept their resignations swiftly, vowing not to back down even as the government renewed its appeal for dialogue. Prosecution requests 20 years for Lee Jae-myung's attacker. Prosecutors sought a 20-year prison term yesterday for the assailant who stabbed opposition leader Lee Jae-myung in Busan in January, calling it the first even election crime in the country. One dead, dozens injured after turbulence hits Singapore Airlines flight. A British man has died and at least 71 others were injured after the flight experienced sudden extreme turbulence over Myanmar. And these are today's headlines. Okay, so it's time for Busan Updates. We have Haley in the studio. How are you?
Good morning. Doing
Yes.
well. I'm going to go uber positive in
Yes.
line with today's topic.
Here we go.
It's all about 정신승리, right? We're going to find out, dig out, and drag out the silver lining by its hair.
Yes.
Because, yeah.
We're going to just create one if there isn't, right?
We are.
So,
all right, throw it to me.
Okay, so the two scenarios. First up, if a family member, the first thing, let's say, let's say your sister, your younger sister. Can I call her out?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can.
So what if she like wakes up and throws your attitude? Like first thing in the morning, and everybody knows Haley's sister is like much younger than her, right?
She is.
Yes.
I raised her.
So what would you do?
Well, like that has happened to me, and I always try to remind myself I am 12 years older than her. So if I snap back, that's a bigger statement on me. So then I calmly,
What's the positive though? How do you turn it around?
It builds my character.
Oh, it builds your character.
내 인성이 좋아지잖아.
아,
나
참아주는
완전
게.
성인문자잖아. So I have done that because I'm just like, I have done that. She's irritated me, and then I resolved it, and then later
Yes.
when things weren't heated, I was like, by the way, I didn't really like, and then we like talk it out, and I was like, you know what, that built our relationship, and that made me a bigger person. So good. I'm such a good person. Oh my god.
I gotta try that next time.
Yeah.
You
You have to 정신승리.
Yeah, if my roommate like snaps at me, he rarely does.
Right.
But if he does, I would just be like,
Yep.
I'm just a better person than you are. At least in my head.
Yeah.
But not out loud, I guess. All right. Defeating the purpose. First, in line with today's top story, Busan National University, PNU, passed its revisions to its school regulations, paving the way for the new medical school quota.
Right. So with the new president in office, the school convened a meeting of its academic board yesterday, and they took input from the deans of departments. And then based on this, President Che deemed that the majority of the professors or the deans of departments were in agreement with expanding the medical school quota, and especially based on the recent court ruling, and the school passed the revisions to its school regulations. So with this, the medical school admissions quota for PNU will be expanded from the current 125 to 200, except for next year where that's been scaled down to 163.
Yes. So that is a status, at least for that particular school. Next, so we're going to talk about the city's job market, where short-term part-time jobs have reached their peak.
That's right. So according to Statistics Korea, of all the newly hired persons from last month in Busan, there were 129,000 people who found jobs in the 1 to 14 hour per week category. So very, very part-time.
Yes.
And this is actually an over 13% increase from the same time last year.
Right.
So the thing about these 1 to 14 hour per week jobs is that they don't pay well, obviously, if you're going by minimum wage, and they're
Sure.
usually temporary and unstable. So they are often considered low quality jobs by experts. So under the Labor Standards Act, on top of this, if you do work under 15 hours per week, you actually do not qualify for paid time off. So an increase in these types of employment are actually considered as a metric of worsening job situations.
I see. So do we have any other job indicators we can take a look at?
We do. So we are also seeing an increase in people who are on a temporary break from their jobs at 26,000, which is up by 4,000 from the same time last year.
Sure.
So these are people who are taking time from work due to illnesses. Maybe they're on prolonged vacations, labor disputes, or they've been not laid off, but they're taking a break from bad business or cyclical reasons like fishing. So that's definitely seasonal.
Sure.
So officials from the statistics office say that this is likely due to the decline, especially in the construction industry that provides longer term jobs. And also that stagnation in demand is leading to more employers hiring these short-term workers rather than full-time employees.
Yes, indeed. So that's what's going on with the city's job market. Up next, those in their 30s were overall the biggest victims in these rental scams here in Busan, right?
Unfortunately so. Specifically, single people living alone in their 30s were the biggest victims in rental scams.
Yes.
And that's based on the city's survey of 719 victims who had, or those who had visited the Victim Support Center in city to seek ways to help them. So the most common form in terms of demographics, in their 30s, living alone, and has an income monthly of between 2 and 3 million won. So almost 80% of the victims were in single-person households, and slightly over half in the 2 to 3 million won income group, and then 56% in their 30s. 30% were under 30. So definitely the vast majority, we're looking at 86%, young people in their 20s and 30s.
Sure.
So they were and still are more susceptible. And in terms of the amount that they were scammed out of, how much did they lose? Most people lost out between 50 and 100 million won. So that's 5천만 원 to 1억 won. I mean, if you can imagine, if you're in your 20s and 30s, that is pretty much your entire savings wiped out. Over a third of the victims, over 100 million won, over 1억 won. So many people seem to have been convinced or even tricked by their real estate agents who kind of pushed them into these deals. And the vast majority did not have rental insurance.
So unfortunate. So what's the likelihood of them getting their money back? Do we know?
Well, because they don't have rental insurance,
Right.
that's really not very possible. And 72% said that it doesn't seem possible for them to get that money back. And the biggest reason is that because the homeowner, the scammer, I suppose, has filed for bankruptcy. And that home has been sold or is on the market or is being sold via auctions.
Sure.
So the victims called for the city to strengthen punishment for those responsible for these rental scams.
Yes.
And also allow the victims to pay back their loans in larger 20-year increments and also expanding interest rate support.
Right. Once again, it's like, yes, they fall victim, but it's like an ongoing thing.
Right.
It's very difficult to recover from. All right. Next up, Busan City is looking for firms to join an Asia Startup Expo.
That's right. So Busan City and Busan Techno Park, they're looking for participants in the Fly Asia 2024 Awards. So this is one of the programs for the Fly Asia 2024 event, which showcases technology from innovative startup companies. And for the awards, we have participating cities from Busan, Hong Kong, Osaka, Singapore, Shanghai, and Jakarta, each city nominating their respective candidates for the competition.
Okay.
So for the first time this year, to pick our candidates, the city is introducing a citizen assessment system where the people will also have a say in which startup will represent our city.
Yes.
So categories are open for AI and blockchain, quantum mechanics, biohealth, energy tech, EVs, smart vessels, and future aircraft, lifestyle, and media content. And the city will give collectively 250 million won for the 6 finalists and also connect them to investors. And by the way, as for Fly Asia, it celebrates its 3rd year and it'll take place on October 1st and 2nd at Bexco.
Yes, indeed. So thank you for telling us about this one. So let's move on and now talk about Busan City coming up with this app to help pregnant women get a seat more easily on the subway.
Have you ever been in the situation where you are sitting down
Yes.
and there's a lady in front of you and you're like, is she with child?
Isn't she? Is she not?
Isn't she? Because you really don't want to be like...
Oh, you don't want to ask.
Yeah.
If you have any inkling, any doubt,
Right.
don't ask.
Don't exactly. But I'm like, but then she could be in the beginning phases, which I heard you're more tired, you're fatigued.
Oh, yes.
And then, but I also don't want to be that jerk who's sitting down comfortably while a
True,
pregnant lady
true.
is standing in front of me.
Right.
So that's why I really do appreciate the pink seats, and they do light up. So there are these consideration seats for expectant mothers, the pink seats. But during busy times, I have seen, they're allowed to, but I've seen obviously non-pregnant people due to age, gender, whatever, sitting there. But the thing is that those lights, they do light up when there is a pregnant woman who has that badge that connects to the light approaches, and it will sometimes make that sound. Please give up your seat for an expectant mother. But in order to get that beacon, the badge that connects to that light, you do have to visit a local clinic, which means people from out of town cannot benefit from that system.
Right.
And it's also pretty inconvenient if you're busy, and whatnot. So now Busan City has developed an app that will do that for you. So there's an app for everything. And actually the user can choose whether to activate the pink light or to add sound or lights, because maybe some days you feel fine and you don't want to draw that much attention to yourself. Other days you just want a seat at all costs.
Yes,
There are those days. So that means people who don't live in Busan can also benefit from this system and use that function.
Yes.
The app will also provide information on subway schedules as well as local child-friendly establishments in your neighborhood. So it's kind of your one-stop go app. And the city's transportation corporation will actually hold a promotional event today at Centum City, the subway station, including a small concert for expectant mothers.
All right. What a great idea. Well, thank you so much for going over all the updates. And we're going to check in with you for news in just a little bit, Haley. For now, though, let's talk about this. Real quick, text topic. We are being like uber Changwon-young-ish positive because we talked about this yesterday with Bonnie. So the two scenarios I gave for you to turn a negative into a positive earlier were, a family member snaps at you first thing in the morning, or you finished the report but did not click save. Let's work on number 2. How would you turn that into positive? You finished the report, 보고서를 다 마무리했는데 세이브를 안 했어요. 저장을 안 했을 때 how can you turn that into positive? So think about that. And here is your traffic and weather for now. It is now 7:20 on this Wednesday morning. Here's your traffic report. It looks backed up on Luno Samsangdaero from the Myeongji interchange to Shinho Bridge right now. Also slow moving on Byeonglo from the Wondong interchange to the old Banyo toll gate. It is currently 16 degrees Celsius under clear skies. The daytime high will go up to 26 today, so slightly warmer than yesterday. So as you can tell, 16 to 26. The temperature difference is about 10 degrees from now until the high. So you might want to wear layers today and peel them off accordingly. Take care of your health. This was your traffic and weather.
Check this out.
This is Morning Wave in Busan.
Everybody, wait a minute.
This is Morning Wave.
Morning Wave.
You are listening to
Morning Wave.
Morning Wave in Busan.
What show is this?
This is Morning Wave in Busan.
Here we go. Morning Wave in Busan.
It is time for News Digest, and before we get very serious, so we're getting comments on our new friends in the studio.
Oh, have you named them?
Yes, I have.
Oh my goodness.
Just in case
Let's
you're
hear
wondering.
it. All right. So yes, we do have plans.
There are 4 of them.
Yes.
So here we go. Are you ready, everybody? So this is just my naming. What is it?
장명소? Cats
Okay, here we
장명소?
go. Okay, so we have to my right and probably to your left, we have Molly.
Molly.
And then we have Willow,
Willow.
Ingrid, and then Brent.
Oh, so we've got a guy.
Yes.
Oh, it's a
Morning Wave in Busan.
Oh, well done. Well done.
So, are you going to remember the
Brent.
names, everybody?
No, but
People are
we
talking about them.
might put a name tag.
Yeah, Molly, Willow, Ingrid, and Brent.
And they are permanent. Not that they're going to stay here permanently. We don't know, but
Yes.
they will last forever because they're not real. Oh,
Why did you say that, Haley? You didn't hear a producer before the show? She was
No,
saying-
my face is turned towards against her, so I'm just gonna block her out.
All right,
Yeah.
now 180 degrees, serious, because the special counsel bill for the investigation into the death of a Marine has been vetoed, right?
It has been. So yesterday, President Yoon Suk-yeol vetoed the bill on the special investigation into the military's response to the Marine Corporal Ch's death during a search and rescue mission last year. And that is him endorsing a motion that was passed by the cabinet earlier in the day. So Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, who led the meeting that passed the motion to veto, and also the Presidential Chief of Staff Chung Jin-seok said that while the executive branch, meaning the president, should respect the legislative or the parliament's authority as much as possible, this particular bill in their eyes has many problems, from how it was passed unilaterally and how it would go about appointing that special counsel.
Sure.
And Prime Minister Han said that this matter is actually under current police investigation, also by 공수처, the CIO's investigation, to have a special counsel investigation before this is finalized and before even the prosecution's additional investigation would go against the principle of the system itself.
Yes.
And he also expressed concerns that the opposition party, which is the entity that filed a complaint against the subject of the investigation, would be the one to set the subject of the special counsel, the institution, and the range of the investigation would be inappropriate. And by the way, this marks President Yoon's 10th veto veto in office.
That's right. So with this, the bill now goes back to the National Assembly, correct?
Right. So to override a veto, the National Assembly needs a 2/3 majority from the lawmakers who are parliament. And by the way, the National Assembly is barreling towards the very end of its term.
Right.
So the Democratic Party Speaker Kim Jin-pyo, or the National Assembly Speaker Kim Jin-pyo from the DP, and his party have said that they will hold a plenary session on the 28th, even if the ruling People Power Party does not agree to do that for a revote.
Okay.
And they've actually really amped up the rhetoric, and they've started to push on the impeachment possibility, excuse me, with the leadership in recent days kind of alluding to that in their respective speeches, including from the DP chair Lee Jae-myung yesterday.
Okay.
However, on the contrary, the ruling People Power Party is working on making sure that all of their lawmakers are within the party line. Because a little bit of parliamentary math, there are currently 295 lawmakers who can physically be present at the vote.
Sure.
And since it requires 2/3 of the vote, assuming that they all come, you need 197 yeas to override the veto.
Got it.
And the Democratic Party plus the opposition parties, they add up to only 180. So that leaves 17. So if any of the, or 17 of the PPP lawmakers fall out of the party line, that will be the first ever overriding of the veto for the president.
Right.
Already, 3 PPP lawmakers, An Cheol-soo, Yoo Hee-dong, and Kim Ung, have said that they will vote yes to override the veto. So that leaves 14. So the party's leadership has been meeting with rolling calls to 55, especially outgoing lawmakers who will not be returning, so they may not feel they owe the party anything.
Yes.
To make sure that they stay in line.
I see. So we will give you a follow-up on this story, of course. All right, next up, in a never-ending cycle of price hikes, chicken franchise BBQ raising their prices. Yes?
Again, yes. Sorry,
Right.
that I was just so in pain because my family were talking about getting chicken this weekend, and I'm
Yes.
like, well, how much is that going to cost us now?
Right.
Well, Genesis Barbecue or Genesis BBQ, which runs the chicken franchise BBQ, announced that it is raising prices for the first time in 2 years. So their best-selling menu, the golden olive chicken, will go up by 3,000 won, making it 23,000 won. And if you get a combo, that'll go up to 27,000 won.
Okay.
But the thing is, we usually get chicken via delivery, and
Yes.
delivery fees are about 3,000 to 4,000 won. So everything put together, you are likely paying over 3만 won for one chicken, over 30,000 won.
That was a real sigh.
Yes. And if you have family, if you have to order 2-3 chickens, then I'm just like, is this a luxury meal now?
How many chickens for
We
your
get
family?
2 because the equation for poultry, I get serious about food.
Yes.
For poultry, it is half a poultry per person.
Oh.
1인 반마리.
반마리, not
Yes,
eating 반마리.
We can't. I got a
that's
stomach
about-
ache.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're raising prices on 23 of their chicken menus
Sure.
with the average rate of increase at 6.3%. And the consumer may actually feel this more. It may hurt a little more because BBQ does have the most number of franchises in the entire chicken industry.
Okay.
So, by the way, back in 2022, they raised their prices by 2,000 won. Back then, citing a hike in the price of raw ingredients, logistics, and personnel, and explained that the effect from the price increase will go mostly towards the individual franchise owners rather than the headquarters.
I see.
By the way, if you're keeping track, this follows Gumne and Pradak raising their prices by 1,900 won and 1,000 won respectively earlier this month.
And pure coincidence, yesterday I clicked on the app, and then I was going to pick up one of the brands that you mentioned. And then I was like, I put like 2 chicken in the basket.
Yeah, and you
it
look at
was
the
like-
total.
I looked at the total,
why?
even for takeout, and I was like, it was like 49,000 something plus change.
Right.
And I was just like, I was like, because we're having something else. 'Cause, I
Exactly.
mean, for that price, it's like you
Right.
can have something else.
I mean, if you're going to really put 원영적 positive thinking
Yes.
about it, well, here's the thing though, because everything else has gone up so much.
Right.
If I'm paying like roughly 3만 won for a meal for 2, and that's like 15,000 won per person,
Right.
that seems relatively low these days.
it does. It does.
Unfortunately, it does.
Right.
Yeah. So we're being forced into that positive way of thinking.
Right. All right, next up. Soon, restaurants will be able to sell alcohol by the glass?
Yes, by the glass. So
Yes.
lightweights rejoice, I suppose. Because the cabinet yesterday also passed a bill that allows for restaurants to sell alcohol by the glass. And so the bill essentially lays out exceptions to what would constitute a license cancellation for restaurants that have a liquor license.
Okay.
And stipulates that one, a restaurant may divide alcohol into empty containers and sell them. So it was kind of implied under the tax authority's basic regulations, but this
Okay.
basically makes it crystal clear. Also, when restaurants either chill or heat up alcohol, they may now mix it with other beverages and sell it on the spot. Cocktails.
Oh, okay. I was
Basically
like,
cocktails. Yes.
I hope they're not mixing it with
No,
water.
they're not
like
watering it down. But if you're going to
Okay.
water it, if you're going to mix it with tonic water and anything else.
Yes.
Lastly, big deal. Wholesale sellers for alcohol may now provide non-alcoholic beverages to restaurants as well. So those zero
Interesting.
beers and
yes.
yeah.
Okay. Well, a change for those of you who may enjoy like a glass.
That would be me because I always
Yes.
I obviously cannot finish an entire bottle of soju, but you might want one glass.
한 잔.
Yes.
Yes. All right. For our final news story, we're going to go to The Hague, where the International Criminal Court, or ICC's chief prosecutor, has filed for arrest warrants against the leaders of Israel and Hamas.
That was quite shocking, actually. So the ICC chief prosecutor, Karim Khan, said in a statement that he is filing applications for the arrest warrants of Netanyahu, Sinwar, and other senior Israeli and Hamas figures
Yes.
who have played key roles in the ongoing war in Gaza.
Sure.
So according to Khan's statement, it says no foot soldier, no commander, no civilian leader, no one can act with impunity. And it says that the law cannot be applied selectively, obviously in reference to Israel,
Right.
because if that happens, then we are creating conditions for the law's collapse. So obviously, it is unlikely that the leaders will face prosecution. The ICC authorities aren't just going to barge in and put handcuffs on Netanyahu or Sinwar. However, it could and would make it difficult for them to travel abroad, especially for Israel, because basically all of Europe is party to the ICC's conventions.
Yes.
And the same thing, now they're in the same camp as if the arrest warrant is approved, of course, as President Vladimir Putin, who is, under arrest technically by the ICC. So that would make it difficult for Netanyahu and other Israeli leaders to travel to Europe. Also, one Hamas leader is in Qatar currently for negotiations. Other Hamas leaders are, of course, in hiding in Gaza. So it could complicate things. And of course, it's particular embarrassment for the Israeli government, according to experts.
And so, the response from the Israeli side especially has been, we'll call it, heated.
Quite so. They did not take too well being treated on the same level as Hamas. So for one, Benjamin Netanyahu said that this was a moral outrage of historic proportions, that Israel is waging a just war against a genocidal terrorist organization. And Netanyahu also turned it quite personal, calling Khan one of the greatest anti-Semites in modern times, comparing him to judges in Nazi Germany who denied Jews basic rights and enabled the Holocaust. Also, that sentiment was echoed in the U.S. as well. President Joe Biden saying it was outrageous to apply these arrest warrants, that these two are not equivalent. However, the West is actually divided, which is actually quite different from when this happened to Putin.
Yes.
Because France and Belgium released their respective statements agreeing with the ICC's request. And Belgium said, the crimes committed in Gaza must be prosecuted at the highest level, regardless of the perpetrators.
Yes. So divided response. Israel not happy, obviously. Well, that's all the news for hour number 1. We'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right. And now we're going to get to our first song of the morning. How about this one? My Star by Ihai. Bass.
넌 나의 star, 넌 나의 sun, 넌 나의 moon, 세상을 다 가진 느낌. I feel good when I'm with you. 넌 나의 rock, 넌 나의 gun, 넌 나의 rose. go. Yeah, 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 yeah. Come on. 넌 나의 star, 넌 나의 sun, 넌 나의 moon. 세상을 다 가진 느낌. I feel good when I'm with you. 넌 나의 mood, 넌 나의 gun, 넌 나의 pose. 감당이 안 돼 이 느낌. Feel alright. 이제 안 외로워, 나 안 외로워.
All right, everybody, it's now 7:36 on this, is it Wednesday? Yes, it is hump day, indeed. We're talking about the expanded medical school quota and the regional students, their allotment with the goal of boosting regional medicine. This is a big issue. We have one case in Busan that really highlights the status of medical access. In Cheolma Gijang County, the residents have been without a local doctor for 2 years. The public health doctor who was working at the local clinic has been dispatched to a private hospital in the wake of the trainee doctor's walkout. So the town of Cheolma has a population of 7,500 and no private hospitals or even pharmacies in town, meaning that this sole doctor was their only source of medical care, who had been fielding all the patients by himself. And apparently, they just have not been able to replace that doctor with one that retired last year. So now, the residents have had to go to clinics or get remote diagnosis and treatment from a doctor at the Gijang County Clinic. And residents say that many of the older residents are on medication for things like high blood pressure and diabetes, and it has just been so inconvenient. I wish I could kind of wave my wand and solve that, turn that into positive, but we can't. But I have some other scenarios for you. Are you ready? So today we're talking about if I have to turn her name into a verb, I will 장원영izing, meaning making something really positive out of something that is really negative. So here's a couple more scenarios. Here we go. You dropped your phone face down, meaning the screen shattered. 자, 폰 떨어뜨렸는데요. 액정이 완전 깨졌어요. What are you going to do? How is that a positive? Or how about this one? You found your first wrinkle, your first white hair, silver hair. 자, 얼굴에 주름이나 흰머리를 발견했어요. 그러면 기분이 꿀꿀할 수도 있는데 그걸 어떻게 하면? Positive. So, first of all, I'll go first. For the phone that you dropped, I would say, hey, I can get a new phone. Shall I worry about the cost of the new phone? No, not now, because I got to turn it positive. So, time to get a new phone. How about this? If I found white hair, I would say, hey, I'm just a little wiser. It means it's just a sign that I am growing wisdom as well. How about one last scenario? You have to work late again. 자, 오늘도 야근이다. Okay, so there's two ways I would turn into positive. First, I would say extra money, cha-ching, so I can, contribute more to the family, buy something nice for myself. Or I could also think like, ooh, yay, alone time at my desk. Extra time away from the fam is another way to look at it. So those are some of the solutions and answers that I've come up with. And, so it's a waggly in our YouTube chat room today. So, how about this one? 고수님, I don't know if this is like this is not a solution turning into positive. I think his first gut reaction to the whole if someone is being irritable in the morning is 하나님 저를 시험에 들게 하지 마소서. Meaning, oh dear God, why are you testing me so early in the morning? But 이거를 장점 좋은 걸로 어떻게 돌릴 수 있을까요? So think about that, Kosu waiver. And we're going to have to wrap things up. We got to get to our hot clip because it's such an important one. But I will read more of your messages in hour number 2. For today's hot clip, this story coming out of the UK. Apparently, there is this inquiry that looked into a decades-old scandal of tainted blood. So here's a clip from The Guardian.
Can you tell us what the main findings of your inquiry are?
Well, let me put it into context. What I've been looking at are people from families across the UK who've gone into hospital for treatment, and over 30,000 have come out with infections which were life-shattering. And 33,000 of those have died, and deaths keep on happening week by week. And what I've found is that disaster was no accident. People put their trust in doctors and the government to keep them safe, and that trust was betrayed. And then the government compounded the agony by telling them that nothing wrong had been done, that they'd had the best available treatment, and that as soon as tests were available, they were introduced. And both of those statements were untrue. That's why what I'm recommending is that compensation must be paid now, and I've made various other recommendations to help to make the future of the NHS better and treatment safer.
It's obviously hard to imagine that something like this has been allowed to happen. Can you just give us a sense of the scale of the devastation that has caused to families across the UK?
Well, I think the scale speaks for itself. If you have over 30,000 people who go into hospital and come out with infections which were life-shattering, that in itself is huge. And the suffering for them and for others is huge. When you add to that the fact that over 3,000 have died and that deaths keep on happening week after week, you not only have a disaster which happened over years, but is still happening.
This is a day of shame for the British state. Today's report shows a decades-long moral failure at the heart of our national life. From the National Health Service to the civil service, to ministers in successive governments, at every level, the people and institutions in which we place our trust failed in the most harrowing and devastating way.
Oh, so the story, it's been in the making for several years. I mean, decades at this point. So finally, this inquiry finding that not only did people contract hepatitis and HIV from infected blood and blood products in the 1970s and 80s from the state system, from the National Health Service, not only that there was cover-up over cover-up, plus the fact that they were just basically dragging their feet. And so now apparently they will be compensated. And some estimates are saying maybe in the upwards of maybe $12 billion. Can you compensate, for life? This was your hot clip.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is time for Hashtag Fact Check, and we have Leon in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine.
Hey, so I heard that you're listening to us on the way here.
Yes.
And you imagined Molly, Willow, Ingrid, and Brent, and you thought they were like stuffed animals?
I thought they were like, the 갈매기 that's representative of Busan. What's
Boogie.
his name? Boogie or some kind of cute animals.
No.
But
We
these
have
are
plants.
Willow and
yes,
Molly.
Yes, our friends.
But your naming was very brilliant.
Thank you.
See, I already memorized two.
Very good. All right, so let's dive in. What do you have for us today?
Okay, so I know it seems a little bit early to be talking about mosquitoes.
Oh.
But my kids have gotten mosquito bites last weekend.
Right, I've seen mosquitoes.
Yes. So do you feel like as year goes by, we are seeing mosquitoes appear earlier than we want them to?
I definitely think so.
Right?
Because I was at my school the other day, I'm like, in the bathroom, the restroom stall, I'm like, there's a mosquito. I hope I don't get,
Oh my.
doing your business, right? So I was just like watching it, because you can't like get up and catch it, right?
Right.
So, oh my gosh, but is it just a perception?
That is what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay.
Mosquito season, is it actually coming earlier than usual and lasting longer than usual as well? So I looked at these Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announcements and related research to see if the mosquito season has indeed gotten earlier and longer. So on March 30th, the Korean Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, it issued a nationwide Japanese encephalitis advisory because the Aedes aegypti mosquito, that's in Korean 작은 빨간집 모기, which transmits Japanese encephalitis, which is in Korean 일본뇌염.
That's right.
일본뇌염 모기 is what we're talking about. They were first identified this year in 전라남도 and 제주도. So the KCDC considers the first collection of these types of mosquitoes to be the beginning of the mosquitoes' activity for the year and is issuing alert at the same time.
Okay.
And this is the most common species of house mosquito and is known to become active earlier than other types of mosquitoes, entering hibernation when temperatures drop below 9 degrees and becoming active when temperatures rise above 13 degrees Celsius.
And it's definitely above 13 degrees, right?
Yes.
So these specific type of mosquitoes basically signal the beginning of the dreaded mosquito season. So has it, is it coming earlier like we're thinking it is, or is it just a perception?
Right. So when we look at the timing of the government's previous Japanese encephalitis advisories from 1970 to 1982,
right,
they were issued between June 14 back in 82 and July 14th back in 1973. And from 1983 to 2004, they were issued between May 7th and June 5th. So that's an average of about 40 days earlier from the end of June to around May 20th over the past 25 years. So we've moved to May from June. And looking at years, the most recent years from 2005 to 2019, the warning was issued in April each year, then moved to March with March 26th in 2020 and March 23rd in 2023.
Oh my goodness.
So the timing of the Japanese encephalitis warning, the warning of these mosquitoes, has moved forward by about 100 days in the past 50 years since 1970.
So it's not just in our heads.
It is
We're
not.
not imagining it. Well, what about the period when they are active? Because I feel like in recent years, it does seem like, yes, we're seeing them earlier, but also that they are just pesky and they're so good at surviving for like longer periods of time. It seems that way.
Unfortunately, that is true as well. The mosquito activity period has recently become even longer. So according to the Seoul Metropolitan Government, the number of mosquitoes collected through 50 digital mosquito meters in 2023, it was about 933 as of the second week of October. That's an increase of 53% compared to about 600 in the last week of September, which is the mosquito's main active period. In the third week of October, over 860 mosquitoes were captured, which was about 2.6 times more than the second week of October back in 2022. So yes, the mosquitoes are staying active in greater numbers in longer periods of time.
Yes.
And the Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's so-called Climate Change Vector Surveillance Status by Region report, it showed that the number of mosquitoes in November back last year more than doubled compared to the previous year. So we're seeing mosquitoes not just in October, but all the way to November.
Right.
And in greater numbers.
It's almost, except for the really, really, really cold months. Like it's like, aside from the really cold months, it's like they're like here and there, everywhere.
There, right? And the scary thing is that pundits are now even worried that we may soon begin to see winter mosquitoes as well. It's a recent concern right now. So according to the Korean Meteorological Administration's winter climate analysis for 2023, Last winter was the second warmest winter on record.
Okay.
With an average temperature of 2.4 degrees Celsius nationwide. And now, so if the average temperature in January rises further to reach 10 degrees or higher, the so-called Aedes aegypti, or they're also called Asian tiger mosquitoes, which transmit dengue fever and other diseases, they will be able to survive during the winter months as well. And now let's remember that, Jeju Island, they were seeing high temperatures this winter season. Their average temperature this January was 7.8 degrees. So we're kind of hitting that 10 degrees mark.
Right.
When these mosquitoes will become active.
On a completely side note, but it's mosquito related. Because I was thinking about this just for like a smidgen of a second as you were speaking. Like if you're in a public place, like let's say you're the elevator of your apartment, because I think people can relate to this.
Okay.
So if you see a mosquito buzzing, is your first instinct, is it to stay away?
No, I kill.
Or do you kill because you think, it could get me next time or my kids or whomever?
I hate
mosquitoes.
Yeah. And
so even with your bare hand, you'll smack it?
Unless it's super huge.
No, because I
what do you
find
do?
myself like
I
if
feel
it's
like for the
really
greater
big,
good.
it is right for the greater good.
I feel heroic when I kill one.
I feel you, like especially in your apartment building. I feel like it could get me. It could get me next time, my family or other, my neighbors.
Right.
I feel it's like my civic duty.
It is to have kids and elders safe from mosquitoes.
Right.
So when you were in that bathroom, where did you take time to?
I couldn't. It got away.
It was too much of a big space.
It was, and I was just like looking at it. I'm just like, don't, please, not right now. Now is not a good time. And then it disappeared.
Okay.
That one I couldn't catch. And by the way, like the 산모기 near my school are like a different species. They're bigger.
They're like also really dark, aren't they?
Yeah, and like they're a
those
little
are like
slower,
lethal.
but still.
Okay.
We're gonna have to.
I hate mosquitoes. Okay.
But you know what? We hate them so much. We're gonna have a part 2 next week.
Of course.
Yes.
On what's the best mosquito repellent we can get?
Which
is so important, right?
I really want to get to part 2.
Your eyes were like shining.
I know, like, how do we get away from them? All right, so we'll check in with you next week. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, everybody, this was Leon, and people really, really not liking mosquitoes. I mean, people going on and on, with Dr. Du even giving us tips, but we're going to cover that next week with Leon, so I'm not going to give them away. Not just now. All right, let's get to our final song of our number 1. Oh, it's already on. Is this Amoru Party? It is. So by Kim Yeonja. Enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
실망하지만 모든 걸 잘할 순 없어. 오늘보다 더 나은 내일이면 돼. 인생은 지금이야. 아모르 파티. 무엇을 그려야 할지 고민하고 방황하던 시간은 없다면 거짓말이지. 말에 모여선 화살처럼 사랑도 지나갔지만 그 추억들 누원이 부시면서도 슬펐던 행복이야. 나이는 숫자 마음이 진짜
befm 부산영어방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로 하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 befm 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, BNK 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Hi everyone, I'm Ressa from Indonesia. It's my 4th year living here in Busan as an undergraduate student at Kyongsong University. Let me first describe what my hometown looks like. Jakarta, Indonesia is surrounded by beautiful oceans, exotic temples, and strong dialects. Does any of this ring a bell? Yes. The descriptions also fit very well with Busan. 7 beaches, attractive temples like Haedong Yonggongsa, and we can't forget the famous dialect Busan Saturi. And that's when I knew Busan was going to be my second home. I grew up so much in Busan that I even mentor other students from Indonesia to help them with their Korean and life in Busan. When I teach them Korean, I sometimes see myself using Saturi. Looking back, I remember struggling to understand what my professors were saying because they were using 찐 Busan Saturi, you know, the real Busan dialect. But I think that's what makes Busan more of my home. Through the dialect, I feel the warm charm that no other city can mimic. Global City Busan. We are in it together. This campaign is brought to you by befm 부산영어방송.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It's morning!
And what a lovely morning!
Dynamic Busan.
Good morning!
Good morning!
Good morning!
Good morning. Hello, Chevy.
What show is this?
Hello!
Hello, baby.
Hey, buddy.
Hello, everybody.
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
It's now 8 o'clock and this is news highlights. Parties prepare for re-vote on marine death report's special counsel veto. President Yoon Suk-yeol vetoed the bill calling for a special counsel investigation into the military's handling of Marine Corporal Che's death. His 10th veto in office. Main opposition Democratic Party, or DP, condemned this vote, with Chair Lee Jae-myung calling Yoon the culprit and warned that the people could turn their back on the administration. DP's Woo Won-chik vowed that the party will pass the bill by all means. The ruling People Power Party is working to unite its lawmakers to stop the bill from passing, which will be put up for a revote next Tuesday. Army recruit killed in grenade explosion. One recruit was killed and another non-commissioned officer was wounded yesterday after a grenade accidentally exploded during a training session at the Army's 32nd Infantry Division in Sejong. Military authorities said that the explosion occurred during a grenade throwing training session at the division's boot camp, when the recruit reportedly removed the grenade's safety pin and held it in his hand without throwing it. An investigation is underway, and the Army instructed all units to use training grenades until the exact cause is determined. Only 5% of trainee doctors return to hospitals amid prolonged walkout. Only 5%, or 659 out of some 13,000 trainee doctors who have left their work sites have returned, even as the government renewed its appeal for them to resolve the protracted standoff through dialogue. Most junior doctors have called on the government to accept their resignations swiftly, vowing not to back down and seek career paths as doctors other than becoming specialist doctors at major hospitals. Second Vice Health Minister Park Min-soo told reporters that the court's ruling finished the admissions quota expansion plan and urged trainee doctors to return to work. Prosecution requests 20 years for Lee Jae-myung's attacker. Prosecutors sought a 20-year prison sentence yesterday for the assailant who stabbed opposition leader Lee Jae-myung in Busan in January. The prosecution also deemed it the first ever election crime in the country, aimed at stopping the main opposition party chair from running and exerting his right to nominate candidates. The defendant said in court that he feels remorse and realized that he should have approached the situation in a patient and legal way. One dead, dozens injured after turbulence hits a Singapore Airlines flight. One person has died and at least 71 others injured on board a Singapore Airlines plane that encountered severe turbulence on a flight from London to Singapore. Authorities at Bangkok Airport say the victim was a 73-year-old British man who likely died from a heart attack. 71 people are injured, including 7 serious injuries. Witnesses say those who were not wearing their seatbelts were launched into the ceiling. Singapore Airlines says the flight experienced sudden extreme turbulence over Myanmar and then diverted to and landed in Bangkok. These were your news highlights. Time for issue waggle waggle. And before we get to we need to waggle about this first.
Yeah,
right?
let's.
So, text topic. New ones that I shared with a listener or waivers. You drop your phone and the screen is shattered.
I always say, and this is something I do always say.
Yes.
위기는 또 다른 소비를 위한 기회다.
Time to buy another one.
Every crisis is an opportunity for you to spend more money and get something new.
Oh, my pants ripped. Oh, time for new pants.
Gotta go buy new pants. And you know what? Because they might rip again. Why don't I buy an extra? Because that's
just in case.
How prepared I am.
Yes, yes. What about you look in the mirror and then you're like, what happened? Why do I have crow's feet?
Oh, do I have wrinkles?
No, I mean not.
I mean I would in the hypothetical situation.
Yes.
I'm gonna be a real cute old lady though. So okay, you can't cause 방송사고. You can't just give me dead air.
Sorry.
The look of disdain.
I try to hold it in.
You're ridiculous stare. But I think I'm gonna be a real cute old lady.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think so too. And I can start saying things that are on my mind like all the time.
Oh, I can't wait.
I know.
I can't wait to hit that certain age where I can say whatever I'm thinking.
And my cardigan and just yelling at everyone.
Yeah, just saying snarky things. Like, you have to work late again. 또 야근이야.
We have really good rest. So I can 저녁 외식 take out because I'm going to treat myself to a fun little meal because you know what? I'm working late, so I deserve it.
Absolutely.
Yay.
You do. All right. Now getting into our first official issue for wa글와글. Police are investigating, oh my gosh, this large-scale digital sexual crime case that, I mean, people were a little surprised. Came out of Seoul National University. I mean,
of course, your
number one
academic
university.
achievement is no indicator to your moral compass, and
Apparently
obviously it's not in this case. This
Right.
has been dubbed the nth room case from SNU. So the Seoul Police Cyber Crimes Unit arrested two Seoul National University alumni, both men in their 30s, on charges of creation and distribution of false images. So the first suspect is accused of having created explicit sexual fake content involving 48 women, the second suspect 28. And the first suspect is also said to have been in possession of over 1,800 illegal videos, including child pornography.
Goodness.
So the man had access to many female students and alumni social media pages or messenger profile photos, and they would allegedly superimpose the female students' faces onto explicit content and then distribute them allegedly via the messenger app Telegram.
Wow. So I hear that it actually took like proactive action on the part of the victims for the police to launch an investigation.
Right, which is definitely commendable for the women to do so, but also a little discouraging that they had to do that. So apparently one victim received the sexual contents on Telegram and saw and was surprised to see her face on it. So based on what the message said, she assumed that this was from someone she knew. And then she came to realize that there were multiple students or former students who had been subject to the same crimes across 4 different departments. And they all came together and realized that the photos were used for the photos that were used for from their KakaoTalk profile.
I see.
So the women came together and pinpointed the suspect by kind of comparing their contacts list and figuring out the person that they had in common.
Wow.
Which, I mean, this is brilliant. Like all the
investigative
more,
work by the women, yes.
Compliments to them. So they
Yes.
actually filed a case to the police, but the police at first closed the case without indictment. There were no charges.
Why?
They didn't find enough evidence or sufficient evidence. Then the prosecution actually lodged an objection, which was also rejected. So it actually took a court petition for an investigation to reopen.
Wow.
And upon this, the key suspects were arrested, and the police have they've widened the scope of the investigation.
My goodness, when I saw this story break, I was just like, what? Am I reading this correctly? And by the way, where you go to school, whether you're an alumnus of an esteemed school, once again, has nothing to do with your character.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
Yes, so absolutely not. Next, one of the most famous dog trainers, Kang Young-wook, is facing accusations of workplace bullying and harassment.
Right, so this has been quite hot on social media and online. So he's kind of known as the dog president in Korea.
Yes.
But Kang Young-wook is under controversy from former employees alleging that he vastly mistreated them. So according to, there's this site called Job Planet, and it's a hiring website, but they also feature reviews from current or former employees. So reviews for Kang and his wife's Bodum company, they have 1.7 out of 5-star ratings.
Oh, that's
which is
quite
quite
low.
And these are all reviews submitted by current and former employees. 17 out of 27 people gave 1 star, which is the lowest you can do. So the accusations go, there are many piling. I'm just going to pull a few of them. The owner allegedly monitors employees via CCTVs, and there are apparently 6 employees and 9 cameras. And one employee says that Kang verbally allegedly harassed him, telling him, quote, not to breathe, just go die, unquote. Another employee who had quit received 9,671 as their last paycheck. And when they inquired the labor ministry, the company responded via the ministry that they deducted pay from this employee because he or she didn't take care of the customers. But this person was able to get the proper amount back, but after going through the necessary channels with the authorities. And then on Kang's YouTube channel, one person with their profile photo document proof of having worked for the company said that the owner allegedly mistreated everyone, but he was apparently worse for men, treating them like servants. He used the phrase "bossum," and wrote that the person had to run personal errands on his days off, do physical labor during heat wave, and demanded that the owner apologize. Kang has not released a statement yet, but KBS decided to suspend airing of his shows, All Dogs Are Incredible, that was scheduled for yesterday.
I see. So this is ongoing allegations for now, however troubling. Nonetheless. All right, next we're going to revisit the Kim Ho-jung DUI allegations. Apparently this has prompted a bill.
Right, so first to where the investigation stands, a singer, Kim Ho-jung, finally did admit that he had consumed alcohol, and then was driving drunk when he caused that accident, although that came 10 days later. And he went in for police questioning yesterday, but he did not show up to the photo line, or what we call the perp walk.
Yes.
And then, so it turns out, going back to the accident itself, 2 hours after he crashed into the taxi, he went to a convenience store and bought 4 cans of beer. So some people have accused him of trying to use the argument that the blood alcohol concentration level from the breathalyzer was from that post-accident beer to kind of muddle the evidence,
I see.
Allegedly. But the thing is, this isn't the first case of people doing this. A couple years back, there was that court ruling where a cargo truck driver who was driving drunk caused an accident, but he actually fled the scene, went and bought and drank a whole bottle of soju. The Supreme Court back then actually found him not guilty because, and the court did acknowledge that it is not desirable for the court to accept a result which would allow for a drunk driver to evade criminal prosecution.
Right.
However, it said its hands were tied because of the grand principle of criminal law, and there are no legislative measures to address or rectify this.
So what now?
So now the Supreme Prosecutor's Office has proposed to the Justice Ministry to make it possible for law enforcement to crack down against these post-accident drinking to evade DUI charges.
Yes.
So an official from the prosecution said that intentional drinking after an accident, it's an attempt to nullify the breathalyzer, which effectively makes it a refusal to comply with police orders.
Right.
And the official said that the new punishment clause would improve the perception that one can just do this, destroy evidence, and get away with it.
Right.
And then on top of this, Prosecutor General Lee Won-seok ordered his staff to classify switching drivers. So you either in line for a DUI test or you cause an accident, to switch drivers with the passenger as a form of obstruction of justice and could be prosecuted for that. Also following Kim Ho-jung's case with the manager. By the way, despite this controversy, the singer is going to continue with his concert scheduled for tomorrow and the day after. He already had a concert last weekend in Tangwon. But members from the KBS orchestra that was supposed to play with Kim, they've decided to pull out.
Yes.
And Melon, the ticket platform, said that it's going to waive all cancellation fees for concerts. But fans have actually been picking up those canceled tickets too. Apparently, according to reports, the contract for the concert stipulates that unless the singer himself decides to not do the concert venue or the showrunners cannot cancel the show on their end. Yeah. So there's money involved in concerts.
There's
so
money, but then I'm just saying, generally speaking, I'm not just talking about this particular singer, but you know, when public figures do like bad or illegal things and they even admit to it, I don't know, is that a reason to support
It's interesting that he's going to just continue on.
Like, nothing happened. All right.
Right.
Well, time to restore our faith in humanity. We need it right now with this next story.
Right, because stories 1 through 3 have been horrible. Well, so a doctor gave money to a patient who's a migrant worker to be able to go back to the Philippines for his father's funeral. And the worker actually came back 8 months later and paid the money back. Full circle of virtue.
Wow.
So this doctor is Dr. Park Hyun-seo of Hyundai Hospital in Asan. He shared the story via his social media page. So the patient is a man in his 30s. He had been admitted to the hospital after he had a seizure from a thyroid issue.
Okay.
And there he learned that his father had passed away, who also was taking care of his ill mother who was battling cancer.
Oh my goodness.
So the doctor found the patient crying when he was doing rounds, and when he asked him why, the patient said he doesn't have money to buy a plane ticket immediately to go back.
Yes.
So the doctor gave the patient an envelope filled with 1 million won and 100만 won and told him to go be with his family. And he said that he's lending him the money, but also don't tell anyone who that he did this.
Oh, okay.
Some comments said maybe he said he was lending him the money to kind of protect his pride or to make it feel less like pressure or charity.
I mean, nonetheless, whether
right.
it's
in
a
any
loan
case, this is
or charity,
an incredibly generous
right.
and lovely gesture.
Yes.
Then fast forward 8 months, the man comes back with an envelope of 1 million won and a handwritten letter apologizing for being late. He was returning the money now because his mother was ill and he was in debt. Also expressing his gratitude and saying that he will always keep the doctor in his prayers.
Wow.
The doctor, Dr. Park, ended the story by saying he was just so moved and he is actually just more happy that the man came back healthy rather than getting his money back.
Right, and you can see the visual of the
Right.
note and the money.
Lovely story.
What is money?
Right.
Philosophical
It's just,
question.
Yeah, humanity at
Yes.
its best.
Absolutely. So thankful that we're ending it on that note. All right, we're going to call it a wrap for issue Waglwagle. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right. And with that, let's get to your updated traffic and weather that somehow I know it's here because I'm sure Haley gave it to me, but I don't see it. Okay, so while we get the traffic and weather, we can talk about your text messages. So today we've been talking about turning a negative into a positive. And I have to say, like, the whole idea of like doing yagen, I think it's very divisive because I don't know if you're kidding. Some of you on our in our chat room saying, some of you are like, oh, yagen, like, doesn't everybody do it? Isn't it like a like JB님, 칼퇴해서 힘듭니다. Like, really? You're kidding, right? 야간이면 아내가 힘들고 저는 신나지요. I know you're kidding, right? Anyhow, thank you for your fun messages. And now here's your updated traffic and weather. Now it's time for your updated traffic and weather. There is congestion on Gwangan Bridge going towards the Taeyeon overpass. It's looking slow on Yeonsuro from the Shilli three-way intersection to Mangmi-Hilp. However, it's in both directions. And there was an accident on Pansonglo from Hwajong intersection to Allak intersection right by Yeonangyo Bridge. However, it's been cleared up, but there is still backup ensuing. It's currently 18 and it's going to go all the way up to 26 today. So enjoy this beautiful spring day. And this was your traffic and weather. And this is Cantaloupe by Manhattan Transfer.
Jazzy, funky, bounce, bounce, dance as we dip in the melodic sea. The rhythm keeps flowing, the drip CMC. Sweet sugar pop, rocks and pop. You don't stop till the sweet beat drops. I show and prove as I stick and move. Every pose recited on top of the groove. Smooth life, floating like a butterfly. Notes that are flow, sung like a lullaby. Brace yourself as the beat hits ya. Dip, trip, flip, fantasia. Da 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 da. Da da da, do do, diggy diggy bop, do 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 do, diggy diggy bop, do do. Feel the beat drop, jazz and hip hop, tripping in your dome, makes your zone and pop. Funk and fusion, the fly illusion, keeps you coasting on the rhythm you're cruising. Up, down, right and round, rhymes profound, but nevertheless you got to get down. Fantasy freak through the beat, so unique you move your feet. Then sweat from the heat. Back to the fact, I'm the Mac, and I know that the way I kick the rhyme, someone call me a poet. Poem steady flowing, gonna show in sight and sound. Caught in the groove, invitation found. Any trip to tour upon the rhymes to soar. To an infinite height, to the realm of the hardcore. Here we go, off my take ya. Dip, trip, flip Fantasia. The dialect, I'm the man, command. Come flow with the sound of the mighty mic master. Rhyming on the mic, I feel it's like a disaster. Yes, 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 on and on is a flex. Get with the flow, verbs manifest. Feel the vibe from here to Asia. Trip, trip, flip, Fantasia.
All right, one last time going through our our comments for our text topic today. So, turning a negative into a positive. That was our topic for today. So, a lot of you, with the whole working overtime, I'm so confused if you guys are kidding or not. Like, do you really enjoy overtime? I think like some of the male listeners, I think you guys are kidding about you enjoy overtime so you don't have to go home. I really hope that's a joke because I was thinking about that too. I enjoy working. Like yesterday, I got home from work, I think around 9:30-ish. And I got home and I'll be honest, I was really tired. And then I told myself, because what Bonnie had said to me yesterday really stayed with me, trying to think positively, even though I was really, really tired. So I went home and luckily somebody, in my family had already done the dishes, so I didn't have to do that. And so I was trying to be thankful and turn that into positive. Like, hey, I got home really late from work. However, the fact that I am able, that people need my services, that I am still in demand is something that I am really, really thankful for. So I told the rest of my family, and I really try not to be irritable when I get home really late. Sometimes it can be challenging, though, because, it's like a really, really long day. I wake up at 4:30. I got home at 9:30. But yesterday, I did it with a smile. It was tough, but I smiled for the entire hour I spent with my family. So I just wanted to add that for you, the listeners out there. All right, now we're going to get into our special interview. Well, listeners, Germany, South Korea, Germany. We have a strong relationship, really based on things like trust. And there are about 36,000 Koreans who apparently reside in Germany. And in particular, last year's celebration of the 140th anniversary of Korea-Germany diplomatic relations reaffirmed the ongoing mutual cooperation between the two countries. And we share things like political priorities, like promoting peacekeeping, democracy, human rights, addressing global challenges, things like that. And so we are going to delve into Korea, Germany, Germany, Korea, the business relationship side. And for this, we have invited back to the studios Dr. Martin Henkelmann, President and CEO of the Korean-German Chamber of Commerce and Industry. They call it the KGCCI in short. He is in town right here in Busan in the studio with us. I hear that you're in town to give a special lecture to students at Busan University of Foreign Studies. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, welcome back to our program.
Thank you very much. It's always great to be here. Thank you very much.
Yes, and we were talking about this off air, but you do come down to Busan quite frequently throughout the year, correct?
Yeah, totally. I love the city. It's a beautiful city. I like the sea view, the mild weather. It's a wonderful morning this morning in Busan.
Right, right.
Wonderful.
And you also mentioned, I wonder, like you go back to Germany quite often as well throughout the year. Is it because of your role as the CEO of the CGC at the KGCCI?
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's so many things to do, and it's very important also to speak about the very positive developments in Korea, in Germany, and present this. And there are business delegations going forth and back into both directions, and
Yes.
I'm always happy to join them. And besides me traveling perhaps 6 times to Germany a year, there's also members of my team going regularly. So.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm also curious as to what you're going to be covering, conveying to the local university students at the Busan University of Foreign Studies in your lecture. So, first of all, the title I hear is Working in German Companies, Benefiting from the Growing German-Korean Business Relations. So what is your lecture about? What kind of message will you be conveying to the students?
It's I'm very honored that the Busan University of Foreign Studies and particularly Professor Tae-Hung Chang invited me. And as you mentioned, we have so strong relations between Germany and Korea. That's great to speak about this. And there's this special side here that we have seen that when we do surveys, we see that German companies continue to hire, particularly also in Korea. More than 40% of German companies want to grow their employment here in Korea. And I would like to speak about the opportunities to work for German companies and how to apply for the jobs to the students today.
I see. So we have many young listeners as well. Is there like a particular, to get an edge? Like, what are German companies looking for from people who might want to work for a German company?
Okay. If I speak too much now, probably all these young listeners won't come to the lecture later.
Just a couple. Like a little taste.
I'm kidding.
Yes.
So I think it's important to see that, first of all, German companies are very open to hire talents from all around the world.
Okay.
I think it's also very important to see that German companies, it's enough, if I may say so, to speak English for many jobs, particularly if this is a German company which is acting not in Germany. This is something important. And I think the third thing is that don't look only on the big names, but there are so many hidden champions in Germany, family-run businesses, but they still have perhaps $1 billion turnover. So quite interesting opportunities there as well.
Right, especially the third one. That's a really great tip. I mean, not only looking at like the big players, but do your research, right, into all the companies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Lots of opportunities there. Actually, they employ more. These hidden champions employ more people than the large players in Germany. And it's not always in Berlin. That's also something important to see. In Germany, it's very decentralized when you look for jobs.
Right. So but that is kind of a common, I guess, misperception that like all the jobs will be in Berlin.
It is very often that people think the most attractive jobs, because all the large companies sit in the capital, and Berlin is the capital. But historically, there are so many companies that are not in Berlin. And actually, most of the good jobs are probably not in Berlin if you don't want to work in the governmental field or for international institutions.
Oh, great point. Well, if we can take a look at how many German companies are currently operating in Korea, first of all, and maybe you can tell us more about them. Yes?
Yeah. So we have more than 500 German companies operating in Korea, and we have a growing number. I think this is the very important thing as well. You mentioned that we have had relations for 140 years.
Yes.
Additionally, we can say we have growing business relations for 60 years. And the big boost came about 13 years ago when we enacted the free trade agreement between the European Union and Korea.
Yes.
And today, the trade volume between Korea and Germany, the total trade volume is more than $35 billion. Korea, for us, is the third largest partner in Asia when it comes to trade. And when you look on investment as well, it's quite interesting to see that German companies have, in the last 10 years, invested an average of $460 million in the country, while Korean companies have invested only in Germany, not even European Union, much more in the European Union, but $350 million in average per year in Germany. So you see there's strong growth. And what they invest in, it's R&D capacities. They want to be close to the clients.
Yes.
And also there's a strong interest to work together into third market. And when we do our surveys, more than 50% of the companies say they want to increase investment in Korea from the German side.
Well, that's definitely a positive sign, right?
Good signs.
Yes. Well, considering that some of the industries that Korea and Germany partake in, you might say, similar, maybe even competitors for certain industries. So how can the two countries, or how have the two countries been kind of navigating this, maybe working or being in the same industry, but also being competitors, being partners sometimes. So how does that work?
Yeah, it's interesting to see because Germany and Korea have many, many things in common. And one of the aspects is that we both have a strong industrial manufacturing base. More than 20% of our GDP comes from this manufacturing side, which is strong for a developed country.
Yes.
On both sides. So, and of course, there's then strong competition. And there's nothing against it. The companies with a strong competition and free market, they help. There's competition that creates innovation. They can scale up their products and services. We also get the best price for the consumer if there's good competition in Korea and in Germany. So this is fine. And also for the allocation of resources, it's good. So this is the part of competition. And then on the other side, there's collaboration.
Yes.
Because companies are innovative, so they look also for the best partner. So they look for each other to find the best partner. And when we look on technology today and this disruption, we need so much investment to go into new platforms for cars, for green energy, for decarbonization of the industry.
Yes.
So all the work together is kind of good work. We need the best resources on both sides and put the hands together to go forward. And let me add a third C, which is complementarity. We still have specificities in the industry. You have large companies in very good sectors. And so this is great. And on the other side, we have the German family-run companies which have very niche products or specific products, which are then once again a good part for the large companies when they build their factories, their plants. They need often German machinery in there, German engineering. Another field is when we go to renewable energies. Korea, particularly here in Busan, I don't have to speak about this. It's shipbuilding, it's lots of knowledge with steel, construction on the sea. So when we speak about offshore wind, you have the industry that can produce many of these elements we need for offshore wind energy production. And on the other side, we have large German companies that have several gigawatts of experience already out there, gigawatts of energy production with offshore wind. So they can work together. And I mentioned as a third point, going to third countries. Korean large companies, they go out there, have planned construction, and once again, often German companies participate in this, in the pitch, in the offer, in the value offer for a third country. So there's good cooperation, and once again, this complementarity helps both sides.
Another common thread might be that South Korea, Germany might be facing some similar challenges, things like an aging society and, competition from China, if we look at the business side. So has the de-risking policy on mitigating structural vulnerabilities, especially those related to China, might have that brought the two countries maybe even closer? What do you think?
I think you totally described it correctly, that we face similar challenges. And I would like to add that we face the same or similar challenges, and we also are in a comparable situation, so we have to give the same or similar answers as well. So we have to act in the same way on many fields. I think Korea and Germany are both export-oriented countries.
Yes.
And we are depending on pre-production materials that come from other countries. So we have seen our vulnerability in the last years. We have seen the stress on the supply chains. And this is the reason why I think there is a momentum to work closer together and to do more. And we see this because we get lots of inquiries from German companies that say, what about having now our next hub, not replacing existing hub, but our next hub here in the region. This could be then in Korea, in Seoul or in Incheon or in Busan.
Yes.
So we see this. And on the other side, I think also Korean companies get very much aware of the large opportunities that this large European Union as one large economic market with 450 million consumers is offering. And this is why we see that there is a strong momentum for more enhanced cooperation.
Yes, yes. Switching gears just a little bit right now, Dr. Henkelmann, the EU elections, European Union elections are coming up in a few weeks. So I know you don't have a crystal ball. However, can you anticipate it impacting the current business relations between the two countries? Is this going to impact us at all?
Yeah, I think it's very great that you asked a question about the European election, because the European election, this election for the parliament, which take place in the first week of June, are so often, even in Europe, totally underestimated. People think, oh, what's this? What is the parliament? I vote my local parliament, I vote for my national parliament. What are the European members of the parliament doing? So totally underestimated, because about 80% of European legislation, EU legislation, which is relevant for businesses, is co-decided by the European Parliament together with the representation of the member states, co-decided on equal rights. So this is why I think the elections are very, very important. So what we will certainly see, we shouldn't be surprised without looking on my crystal ball, which actually I have in my pocket here. We shouldn't be surprised if we see in some countries perhaps some surprising results, because European voters tend to use the European election to do a little bit protest election, or there's some local histories that they want to sanction by voting against the establishment, etc. So we shouldn't be surprised if this happens again, as it has happened in a very many times before. However, the large political groups like the center-right, center-left, liberal, the Green parties, etc., they normally find their way together and then they collaborate intensively in the parliament for a pro-European coalition in a wider sense.
Yes.
And we will see that the European Parliament will come up and will be very helpful to push forward agendas. So what will be on the agenda? It will be, I think we will see the ongoing kind of act of balancing the interest between decarbonizing industry on the one hand side, and on the other side, how to get more production security for supply chains in Europe, particularly for core industry. And I think this will be very interesting to see how this will balance, how this will play out in the next parliament.
Yes.
And for me, it would be great to see, and I hope at least for this, that we get lots of free traders back into the European Parliament, that we see also a big boost, and that the members of the parliament, particularly in the International Trade Committee, etc., that they go forward and look which free trade agreement the European Union can do, and particularly also perhaps start or push for updating the Korea-EU free trade agreement, for example.
I see. And to wrap up our discussion today, from what I understand, you were appointed as a representative of the KGCCI during the pandemic, right? At the height of this pandemic. And now that the pandemic is over, we're in the endemic phase and things, are picking up economically speaking. What are your plans to promote your organization? How will you move forward from this point forward?
I think we did a big milestone a couple of weeks ago, actually 8 weeks ago, 2 months ago, when we moved into a new office space. So we increased our office space by 40%, and particularly what we have more space now for events in our own office space. We have a standalone building, own parking there, etc. So this gives new opportunities and enables us to cater more to our clients and to the Korean-German business community. Also, we would like to enhance things we have been doing. For example, last year we started a joint CSR event by walking with visually impaired and did guided walking with these. And we will continue this event on the 31st of August. So we have a joint Korean-German business joined a marathon with visually impaired along the Han River. This is, I think, a great event. We will have lots of networking events. In 2 weeks or 10 days, we will have our asparagus dinner, which is very special German dish. So this is a big highlight of the year. We are looking if we can do an Oktoberfest this year. And when it comes to content, we also will probably very much focus on renewable energy, decarbonizing the industry, and topics around environment. And I think lots of delegations.
It sounds wonderful, but also so soul-centric. I'm hoping that we see more opportunities for our listeners and our people, citizens who live in Busan, I hope.
No, totally. I mean, we are here in Busan. We come regularly. We had two economic outlooks last year here, and we had already one this year. So we are here and
I just
come
wanted
regularly.
to relay that to our listeners that it's not just about Seoul, right?
No, not at all. Not at all.
All right. Well, we're going to call it a wrap on our discussion for today. But thank you once again for coming into the studio and explaining so much to our listeners today. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Everybody, this was Dr. Martin Henkelmann once again talking about the flourishing relationship between South Korea, Germany, not just the governments, but also business-wise. So this was your special interview. We're going to take a short song break. Here it is. Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake. Enjoy. I'll be right back.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. All through my city, all through my home. We're flying up, no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the lights, when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, 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 come on. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason, don't need control. I fly so high, no ceiling when I'm in my zone. Cause I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop, stop, stop. Under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel the good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. That's how the feeling, yeah. So keep dancing. Oh, yeah, yeah. I can't stop the. 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 Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. Everybody say. I can't stop the feeling. Oh, no, I can't stop the
it's time for Skills 101. We have Jennifer in the studio.
Good morning.
How are you?
Not so well.
Why?
I couldn't sleep last night.
Because?
Too much coffee. Caffeine.
Caffeine. So okay.
Too many cups.
Too many cups. Is that what we're talking about?
Oh, no.
Okay. I was like, is this a segue and I'm not catching it? Okay, so what are we going to focus on today?
Okay. Do you like pets?
Oh, I do. I have no choice. I have so many of them. Oh. As everybody knows, 4 cats.
4 cats.
A rabbit, too. They all live together. They cohabitate. Yes.
How long have you had them for?
The oldest cat, forgive me, Poe, I think he's 13. I think he's 13.
Okay.
13, 12, 10, 9, rabbit, 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So they are members of the family. Mm-hmm.
I see. With summer just around the corner, many of us will be spending more time outdoors.
Right.
And for those with pets, it's important to know the proper etiquette or petiquette. For
I love this
various
topic.
Public settings.
Yes.
I mean, for cats, they usually stay
at home.
Yeah,
So it's okay.
so it's okay.
Right.
So I thought we should talk about etiquette today because their time outside, whether they have pets or not.
This is so true. So what are some key points of etiquette or petiquette, as you say, that pet owners should keep in mind? So this is for the pet owners.
Yeah. The first and foremost rule of etiquette is always keeping your dog on a leash in public spaces, unless it's a designated off-leash area. This ensures the safety of our pets and also people around pets.
That's true, too.
Yes.
That's really important. That's a good point because I think a leash does help control your pet and prevent any unexpected interactions because you never know what might frighten your dog. We'll just say dog just to make it easier.
Yeah.
What might irritate or frighten the dog. And there are people who may have had traumatic experiences with
even
animals.
small dogs. Yeah.
Right. I mean, just and I do think that most pet owners, not all, most pet owners are pretty good at handling, the waste, the poop, right? But this is, I think, sometimes what causes disputes, though.
Yeah, that's right. Responsible pet ownership includes cleaning up after your pets. Always carry waste bag with you and dispose of them properly in a trash bin. No one likes to step in or smell pet waste.
Oh, yes.
So this is crucial.
Oh, absolutely. And, I love all dogs and animals and all that, but it's just common courtesy. But what about social interaction with, let's say, other pets and people? What should pet owners be aware of?
Well, when it comes to social interactions, always ask permission before allowing your pet to approach other persons or pets. Not all animals or people are comfortable with unfamiliar pets. And some pets may have anxiety or aggression issues.
That is a good point. So what should somebody do if their pet is kind of being approached by an unfamiliar or person? So how should we behave?
Stay calm and assertive. If you're not comfortable with the interaction, politely ask the other person to keep their distance, but politely.
Politely, that's the point. Politely.
It's important to maintain control of your pet and ensure that both animals are safe and comfortable.
Well, speaking of safety, though, summer, it can get really hot, right?
Oh, yeah.
So maybe we can go over some tips on how to keep our pets safe and comfortable, especially during outdoor activities where it can get really, really hot.
Hydration is important. Very important. Always carry water for your pet and take frequent breaks in the shade. Avoid walking on very hot pavements as it can burn your pet's paws. If it's too hot for your hand, that means it's too hot for your pet's paws.
That's true, though, because we think they're animals, they're it's okay, but when you think about it, especially because most of the dogs in apartments, they're kept indoors, so the paws are quite sensitive, right?
Yeah, of course. I've seen some of them wearing those shoes.
The little shoes, the little booties,
so
right? And now let's talk about how what people without pets should keep in mind. So how can people practice good etiquette?
For non-pet owners, it's important to respect the space of pets and their owners.
Yes.
Avoid approaching or touching a pet without owner's permission. And sometimes, some people... very rare, but a few people I've seen in them touching pets and babies without asking for permission. That's no.
Yeah.
Also, be mindful of your behavior. Sudden movements or loud noises can startle pets.
I have seen that, like when you're in like your apartment elevator, and then I've seen like not on purpose, but like kids, they're kind of being like loud or they make a certain sudden movement, and then you can see the pet like kind of they're fearful.
Yeah.
They kind of jump back. So
yeah,
definitely,
that's why they bark sometimes. Right?
it's out of like it's a defensive mechanism.
Yes, exactly.
So what about situations where you might actually have a fear of dogs or maybe even have allergies?
If you're afraid of dogs or have allergies, it's okay to communicate that to the pet owner calmly and respectfully instead of screaming and running away.
Oh no.
I mean, my daughter loves animals, especially dogs, but she has really the world's worst allergy.
Right.
So we can't keep pets in our house, but she loves them. However, since her allergy is so bad, I have to be very careful. So most pet owners will understand and keep their pets at a distance if you politely ask. It's all about mutual respect and communication.
Indeed. Some great tips. So maybe you can also give us an example of good etiquette practice, like let's say a common scenario. You're at a park, you're having a picnic, and then Yes.
Sounds very nice.
Yes, on a day like this.
Yeah, if you're having a picnic and you have your dog with you, keep them on a leash and close to your area. Bring a mat or a blanket for them to sit on to avoid them wandering off to other people's picnics and eating food with them,
Right.
Make sure they have water and a chew toy to keep them occupied, entertained.
Oh, that's a good one too, keeping like a toy.
Yeah.
Yes, and for those who might be picnicking kind of near by without pets, what might, people be aware of?
Again, respect the pet space and avoid feeding them without owner's permission. Some people, they have good intention,
Right.
So they feed some snack, but it's not really a good thing to do. If a pet approaches your food, gently guide them away and inform the owner.
Yes.
In fact, I know that foods like chocolate, grapes, avocado, and garlic, those food can be very harmful to dogs.
Yes.
It's all about creating a harmonious environment for everyone.
Right. And when you kind of gently guide them away, don't be mean to the dog, even if you don't like dogs. Be gentle, please.
Yeah.
They don't know any better, right? They just smell something good. Well, any final thoughts on etiquette that you want to share with our listeners?
Just remember that good etiquette is about respect and consideration for others, whether they have pets or not. So by following these simple guidelines, we can all enjoy the outdoors together this summer.
Yes, indeed. This was such a great segment and episode because I'm sure that many people have pets. We live in a world where we have so many pets these days, right? All around us. So let's be considerate of each other once again. Well, thank you so much for today's segment, and we'll check in with you next week.
It was a pleasure, as always. Thank you.
Everybody, this was Jennifer for Skills 101. Well, it has been a wonderful day with you as usual, Waver. So thank you for tuning in, for chiming in, and we're going to end it on this one. 바람이 불어오는 곳 by J Rabbit. I like. Well, have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.
그대의 머릿결 같은 나무 아래로 덜컹이는 기차에 기대어 너에게 편지를 쓴다. 꿈에 보았던 그 길, 그 길에 서 있네. 설레임과 두려움으로 불안한 행복이지만 우리가 느끼며 바라볼 하늘과 사람들, 힘겨운 날들도 있지만 새로운 꿈들을 위해 바람이 불어오는 곳, 그곳으로 가네.
풍선을 바라보며 햇살이 웃고 있는 곳 그곳으로 가네 나뭇잎이 손짓하는 곳 그곳으로 가네 휘파람 불며 걷다가 너를 생각해 너의 목소리가 그리